What if red flags in our adult relationships started with the lessons we never knew we were learning in high school? The betrayal, the heartbreak, the lies we normalized, the love we thought we deserved. Welcome to the High School Files, a raw and revealing series on Battered Hearts Radio where we crack open the diaries we never kept and expose the patterns we didn't know were being written in permanent ink. I'm your host, Coach Nia Renee, certified narcissistic abuse relationship recovery coach, survivor, and truth teller. Every episode I'm walking you through the halls of my past, not to relive the pain, but to understand how it shaped the woman I am today. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see parts of your own story in mine. Grab your hall pass. This isn't your typical walk down memory lane. This is healing with highlighter marks and heartache. Class is officially in session. They say your first love stays with you forever, and for a long time I believed that, not because it was beautiful or right, but because it mirrored every unanswered ache I had learned to carry in silence. Welcome to the High School Files, a podcast series on Battered Hearts Radio. I'm your host, Coach Nia Renee, and this episode is about the boy I loved when I was 14. But it's really about the girl I was before I even knew who I was. A girl who didn't realize she had already been taught to love through wounds. I met him my freshman year of high school. He was a junior, one of the popular football players, the kind of boy everyone knew, everyone wanted. He had a presence, he had a confidence, and he had a girlfriend. Sometimes. But somehow he noticed me. And when he did, it felt like I mattered for the first time. What no one saw was what I was carrying behind that quiet exterior. I didn't know I was traumatized. I didn't know the language for it yet. I didn't know what it meant to be emotionally neglected, to grow up lonely while still surrounded by people. I just knew I felt invisible, and his attention made me feel seen. It wasn't love. It wasn't familiarity, because chaos was familiar. Hot and cold was familiar, and attaching myself to someone who wasn't fully mine, that felt normal because for so long I was taught to accept emotional crumbs and call it a feast. I was also raped in high school, and this was around the time that I was really lost and alone, and I found him. And then there was my mother. She approved of him, encouraged the relationship, and I didn't know at the time that this was a part of the manipulation I had grown up under. So I stayed. Not just for him, but for her. Because when she said he was right, I wanted to believe that meant I was right. That I was finally doing something good enough. I was too young to understand how easy it is to mistake validation for love. Too inexperienced to see how quickly you lose yourself in a person when you've never had a chance to discover who you are. I was raped at 15 in high school. My boyfriend was 18 years old. By the time he turned 18 and I was 15, our dynamic had already shifted into something murky, something heavy, something I wasn't emotionally equipped to navigate. But I stayed and I tried to make it make sense. Because when you're raised in confusion, you learn to explain away discomfort. I thought the problem was me. He would force me to have sex with him when I didn't want to have sex with him because I was recovering from the trauma of being raped. And I thought the problem was me. I thought if I could just be more, do more, love better, maybe he'd choose me fully. Maybe my mom would love me more too. But the truth is, I never was the problem. I was just a girl looking for home in all the wrong places. This is the story of falling for Mr. Wrong, but it's also the story of a girl who had never been taught how to choose herself. What made it all more confusing was that I wasn't even allowed to be his girlfriend publicly. He already had a girlfriend, one he was always breaking up with and always getting back with, so what did that make me? We were always in this emotional gray area where he'd tell me I was the one he really loved, he'd call me his future wife, tell me no one in the world had his heart like I did, and for a girl who never really felt chosen before, those words sounded like promises, but they were lies, wrapped in an illusion of love. Behind closed doors, I was in a relationship that didn't exist to anyone else, and yet it consumed every single part of me. I had to act like we were nothing at school, like I didn't care, like he didn't matter. Meanwhile, he was cheating on his girlfriend with me, and cheating on me with the girls across the entire school district. Girls I didn't know, girls who didn't know about me, girls he saved in his phone under fake names and gave his last name to, as if we were all playing parts in his fantasy world and none of us were real to him. I found myself comparing, competing, shrinking, trying to be enough for a boy who was never going to choose me publicly, because the truth is, he didn't know how to choose anyone with integrity, not even himself. And the moments that were supposed to feel safe weren't. He wasn't kind to me. He was controlling, aggressive, angry. There were times when I'd want to walk away from a situation and he'd stop me. There were times I felt coerced, manipulated, or trapped, but I didn't have the language for it yet. And because I was still learning what love wasn't, I mistook pressure for passion. There was a moment, one that lives with me still, when I thought I was pregnant. And instead of comforting me, instead of offering support, he yelled. He was angry and told me that if I was pregnant, it should have been his. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that. I thought I was pregnant by my rapist. I thought I had gotten pregnant by my rapist. I thought that I had miscarried by my rapist. That moment broke me. Something deep inside of me was broken. Because even in one of the most confusing and terrifying times of my life, he made it about himself, his ego, his own ownership over me, his desire to be the only man who had access to me, even when he gave himself freely to everyone else. That wasn't love. That was control. And I didn't understand until much later that I was in one of my first emotionally abusive relationships. I was in my first sexually abusive relationships. It was hidden, it was toxic, and because it wasn't bruises, I didn't recognize the harm. I just knew I was hurting. I started icing my hamstrings after track practice once in the training room, and even that space became unsafe because he would corner me there, turn even the quietest moments into something about him, and I didn't know how to say no. Because I didn't know I could. I didn't realize back then that survival sometimes looks like silence, that when you grow up learning to ignore your discomfort for someone else's approval, you stop listening to your own voice. And my voice was buried so deep under the noise of who I thought I had to be loved, I almost forgot I had one at all. This wasn't just a high school romance. It was a private prison built on manipulation, obsession, and secrecy, and no one knew. Because I never told them. I had friends who knew. They were all begging me to leave. But there are a lot of people in my life that were close to me, that were trusted adult figures, that didn't know, and I didn't even know how to have that conversation. I didn't know that I was trapped in a relationship that was bad for me. I didn't know that this was a horrible cycle that starts with me being given everything that I ever wanted in a man presented in front of me. And it was the one person that paid attention to me. It was the one person that made me feel like I mattered. Because when I went home, I never felt like I mattered. Because when I went home, I had to shrink myself. I had to become something different. I had to become something that I wasn't. I had to put a mask on. If any part of this story sounds like your own, I want you to know this. You were not broken. You were simply doing the best you could with the tools and love you were given. And if those tools weren't safe, if that love came with strings, that is not your fault. Healing starts when we begin to tell the truth, even when the truth hurts, even when it means questioning the people who were supposed to protect us. So today, I honor the girl I was at 14, and I reclaim the woman I am now. You can too. Thank you for joining me on the High School Files on Battered Hearts Radio. This is the first episode of many, and I'm so glad that you are here with me to walk back down these halls together. This isn't an easy journey. A lot of these stories I'm telling for the first time publicly, and I'm just ready to clear my plate and start over and get a lot of this weight off my chest. So if you're ready to take this journey with me, I appreciate you. I love you. I see you, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Drink some water, get some rest, and don't let nobody's dusty ass child treat you any kind of way. I love you, Battered Hearts.